Trust me, on this one, marrying a wealthy heiress instead of my older brother sounded great, but she still refuses to touch me. Eventually, frustration kicked in, and I wanted a divorce. But then, I accidentally overheard her talking to her best friends. One of them teased that someone was dying of thirst, but hid it because she feared scaring her husband. I won't name names, but men are easily tempted. Elowen, if you keep holding back and your husband runs off, you'll be crying in the dust. My wife, the one being teased, just calmly took a sip of her wine. She said if she couldn't satisfy him, others could. She just wanted him around. Hearing her say that, her friends burst out laughing. They told her to stop acting tough, mocking her for logging into her burner account every single day just to whine and ask questions. My heart raced. I quickly looked up Elowen's secret social media profile and immediately spotted her pinned post. It read, "Finally married my secret crush, but my drive is way too high. How do I give him a 5-star experience without scaring him?" Later that night, I grabbed a little leather whip I had prepared and confidently marched right over to her room. Ever since we got married, she was buried in work, even moving into the guest room so she wouldn't disturb my sleep. When I did the math, we hadn't touched each other in 2 whole weeks. Now pay attention to this next part. She steps out of the shower, sees me on her bed, and freezes. "Why are you here?" Her tone was incredibly cold, but as I looked her up and down, I had to admit her figure was stunning. Her bathrobe couldn't hide her killer curves, showing the subtle rise of her chest and the faint outline of her abs. With her perfect features and fair skin, there was no way she wasn't amazing in bed. Yet, 6 months into this marriage, I still hadn't really been with her. Feeling defiant, I said bluntly, "I came to sleep with you." No matter how much she resisted, tonight I was definitely going all the way. Elowen looked serious. Spotting the whip in my hand, she softly agreed. But things going this smoothly made me highly suspicious. She looked a bit flustered as she walked over. Only a dim bedside lamp remained lit, setting a quiet mood. As she lay down, her sweet scent drifted over. My heart skipped a beat when I wrapped my hand around her waist. Her entire body went stiff. A second later, she looked down, her voice sounding quiet and trembling in the dark. She offered to help me, and before I could even answer, she quickly backed away and opened her drawer. All the romance instantly died as I watched her suspiciously practice movements. I knew exactly what she was doing. She wanted to fulfill her duties, just without using her actual body. I know what you're thinking, this is beyond frustrating. Every single time, her gate seems to be permanently padlocked. Seeing the finger cots she pulled out made my face darken. Angrily, I snatched them and threw them right back. "Help me? You're acting like a complete dinosaur. What kind of help is this supposed to be?" I yelled in pure frustration, but the dim nightlight made it impossible to see her actual reaction. Still, I felt her intense dark eyes staring right back at me, filled with confusion and heat. All my pent-up anger finally exploded. I kept yelling, telling her to just speak up if she couldn't do it. "You aren't the only woman out there. I can easily find someone else. We are married, so why does intimacy feel like royal charity every single time?" Elowen's voice was dry as she whispered that wasn't what she meant, but she still wouldn't make a real move, not even reaching out to pull me in for a kiss. This was the 3rd time I built up the courage only to get shut down. Slowly, I just lost all hope. I grabbed my jacket from the bed, stood up, and stormed out, slamming the door behind me with a loud bang. At my friend's place, my phone kept blowing up, but I completely ignored it while Kale just stared at me. I threw my head back and downed a shot. The burning alcohol tasted incredibly bitter, matching my mood. I turned off my phone. I complained and blamed him for buying such cheap garbage, joking that one sip had paralyzed my throat. Kale just laughed and waved a shiny cigarette case right in front of my face, asking if it looked cool. Within minutes, he managed to pry the whole story out of me, though I wasn't really trying to hide it. But one massive question kept burning in my mind. Why didn't she want me touching her? Was she not into guys? I shook my head. Back in high school, she actually dated a guy. Even though endless people chased her only to get brutally rejected. Was she keeping herself pure for my older brother who went off to Europe? So what do you and I make of this? Was she really saving herself for my perfect older brother? Let's dive into a story about a marriage built on a complete lie. Originally, my brother was supposed to marry Elowen, but he ditched her for his artist soulmate and fled the country. Elowen was gentle and sweet, and in our 6 months together, she never turned down a single request except for one. And even when she helped me while I was burning with desire, she stayed completely stone-faced. There was no passion in her eyes, like she was just watching some random stranger. Did she actually find me repulsive? The thought made my head spin, and all that buried anger came rushing back. I slammed my glass onto the table with a loud crash. Decision made. Kale jumped in shock. Decided what? Divorce. A useless wife, no matter how gorgeous, has got to go. Besides, her heart belongs to someone else. I, Orion, refuse to be second best. All right, put the glass down. Kale thought I was totally wasted and dragged me to the shower. Next morning, I woke up with red scratches. Checking my phone, my screen was loaded with missed texts, all from Elowen. Walking back inside, I was shocked to see her home. Her sharp, beautiful features popped. "You're back? Now watch closely as she spots those marks on my neck." Her pupils shrink and her eyes go completely dark. I was completely exhausted from sleeping on my friend's couch, and too much smoking left my throat burning. No energy to fight. Before she could speak, I weakly waved her off. Too tired from last night, heading upstairs to bed. I wasn't playing around. I was going to divorce Elowen. A loveless marriage is just a disaster. But that night, a heavy fever hit me. My whole body felt like lead, and my head was spinning when the door opened. Elowen had just gotten out of the shower. A sharp minty scent hit me, making my stomach turn. I frowned and pushed her away, refusing her help. She froze, then spoke in a low, strangely sweet voice. "Be a good boy, take your medicine, and you won't feel uncomfortable anymore." Her cool fingertips touched my lips, while her other hand by her side clenched tight. Her breathing grew heavy as she stared, but I was too annoyed by the contact to even notice. I turned away and lay flat on the bed. "All right, you can leave now." In my hazy state, I heard water running again. It seemed Elowen was taking yet another shower. "You and I both know how morning tension goes, right?" I woke up wrapped in her arms, her warm breath making things painfully obvious. Elowen had also just woken up, sleepily reaching out to touch my forehead. "Still a bit hot. Looks like the fever hasn't fully cleared." I snapped wide awake. "That's because you're making me run hot." I tried to push her away, but her grip was tight. Her slender fingertips glided over my skin, sending a numbing sensation that made me groan softly. "Orion," she whispered my name softly, her husky voice dripping with pure seduction. "Want to try a little?" On any normal day, I would have gladly accepted with fireworks. But after last night's disaster, I felt extremely bitter. To me, this move was just a classic slap in the face, followed by a piece of candy. It felt like pure charity being thrown my way. Still weak from the fever, I coldly rejected her. "I can't do this." She instantly went pale behind me, her breathing trembling slightly. Elowen pulled away in silence. Turning around, I saw her staring blankly at me with intense eyes. A bitter smile crept onto her lips. "It's my problem. I don't blame you." I scoffed coldly. "Well, at least you have some self-awareness, but don't be so dramatic in the future. Getting a fever sucks." Elowen lowered her eyes to hide her emotions. Without waiting for my reaction, she grabbed clothes from the closet. Usually she wore silk robes, so seeing her in a simple towel, exposing her toned waist, was rare. My eyes swept over her tiny waist in perfect curves. My heart beat slightly faster, but that was all. Any gorgeous woman standing there would do the same. Elowen handed over the clothes, and I changed right in front of her without any shyness. As expected, she quickly looked away, her eyes not lingering on my body for even half a second. But trust me on this, the second I stepped out the door, she sneaked straight into my bathroom. A few days later, I noticed my clothes were missing, but they were cheap, and I had plenty of outfits anyway. "All right, stick with me here," as I realized that custom vest my friend Kale bought me last week has completely vanished. I racked my brain, but absolutely nothing made sense. With no security cameras around, catching this creep was impossible. So, over breakfast, I finally decided to bring it up to my wife, Elowen. I told her we had a thief. She just sat there elegantly, slowly spreading butter over a slice of toast. She froze for a second, keeping her head down as those thin lips finally parted. Calm enough to watch the world end without flinching, she simply asked what was missing. I quickly named off a few items. Suddenly, her hand slipped. The knife scraped against the small mole on her hand, smearing butter everywhere. I glared at her, highly suspicious. "Why are you acting so nervous? Don't tell me you are the thief." Elowen stayed quiet for a moment, then gave a soft chuckle. "Watch closely as those sharp eyes lock right onto me." "What do you think?" she asks, before elegantly getting ready for the office. Even with decent vision, she always wore those sharp, gold-rimmed glasses, making her striking features look even more intense. Behind those lenses, her pitch-black pupils felt colder than the morning air outside. I had to be losing my mind to suspect her. She was far too traditional and serious. Plus, why would she suddenly steal my underwear? I immediately decided to drop the subject entirely. "What time are you back tonight? I have something for you." Our drafted divorce papers were finally ready. Passing me the buttered bread, she replied instantly, saying she would return as early as I wanted her to. She talked so fast I could barely process her words before her phone started ringing loudly. Her assistant hurried inside with a briefcase, telling her it was time to go. She left, and I clutched my chest. My heart was pounding. I touched my burning ears, feeling a confusing wave of sheer embarrassment and anger. Why can't she just speak normally instead of flirting with me? Later that day, I ended up visiting the hospital. The doctor literally told me my hormones were off, and I needed a woman to fix it. Hearing this, Kale immediately offered to hook me up with a stunning model from his agency, who had serious curves. Right then, I was sketching my comic with the air conditioning blasting away. You and I know I had to reject that offer immediately to focus on my character designs. But then he hit the nail on the head. Have you been breaking out lately? He asked. My heart stopped. I silently cursed Elowen once more. I was breaking out like crazy, with 2 massive pimples right on my chin. He joked that wildflowers smell sweeter than home ones. Besides, you are getting a divorce anyway. Are you really not going to test the waters? His temptation actually made me freeze my pen. I realized I still needed a face model for my new side character. I could just use her as a visual reference. No touching. Besides, my health was on the line. Post-divorce, I could find 180 girls if I wanted, but not now. That was my strict moral boundary. I refused to just touch a woman casually. Kale laughed, clearly having zero faith in my self-control. I felt so confident. But the moment I finished my drawing and fell asleep, reality slapped me hard. I had a ridiculously steamy dream. We were kissing passionately, our breath completely tangled up together. Her fiery warmth and the quiet, heavy breathing. I completely lost myself in that intense passion, drowning in a private world of pure ecstasy. But the second I saw Elowen's face up close, I woke up absolutely paralyzed with fear. My heart hammered against my chest, as cold sweat poured down, unable to shake off the dream. With my legs feeling like complete jelly, I dragged myself downstairs to grab some water. Suddenly, soft laughter echoed from the living room. Someone is supposedly dying of thirst, but they are holding back to avoid scaring their husband. I will not name any names here. I saw Elowen's close friends lounging on the couch with wine glasses, teasing her about how easily men are tempted. If you keep this up, your husband will run off with someone else and leave you crying. Since they were so close to Elowen, they never held back. She just quietly picked up her glass and took a small sip. Her gorgeous face showed absolutely zero emotion. She muttered a quick reply, making them all burst out laughing. But that's when I realized something was off. They mentioned she had a secret Twitter account she used all the time. Wanting dirt on her, I typed in the username. Trust me, you and I are about to find out. Trust me on this, I just found a profile with Elowen's exact photo, and her pinned post is absolutely wild. I expected some angry rant about how terrible men are, but what she actually wrote completely blew my mind. It said, "Finally married my secret crush, but my drive is way too high. How do I give him a 5-star experience without scaring him off?" The next post said, "This world is blinding. He called me old-fashioned. It is because I am useless. If I spoil him like this, will he reject me?" Right under it was a photo of a maid outfit and a puppy collar. My blood instantly started pumping fast. The Elowen I knew was always supposed to be this cold, quiet, untouchable ice queen. I could not connect that distant goddess with this secret, incredibly desperate, and deeply insecure side of her. My immediate thought was that I had to be looking at the wrong account. But I kept scrolling, feeling like a total creep peeking into something dark. Her next post said, "Still could not resist sneaking into his bathroom. If he knew I was stealing his underwear, he would hate me forever. I do not want him to hate me. I hate myself. I have ruined so many of his clothes already. It is really best if I do not touch him. I walked around half naked in front of him last time. I wonder if I actually managed to seduce him. That stupid towel covered everything up anyway. He did not even notice his name tattooed on my lower stomach. And today, he told me there is a thief in the house. I acted totally calm but was panicking inside. I did not dare admit that I am the thief. I am so frustrated. I do not want to just cry and call his name in my dreams. Watch this part," she wrote. "Orion, please look at me." My hands shook as I kept reading. The absolute shock in my chest instantly transformed into a massive rush of pure adrenaline. All those missing boxer shorts were actually stolen by my supposedly untouchable wife. My wife was actually completely obsessed with me. So what on earth had she been pretending for the last 6 months of our marriage? An explosive rush of excitement washed over me after discovering my wife's secret burner account. I needed to find this secretly wild woman right now and lay down the law on the spot. I shoved my phone away and bolted downstairs, my slippers slapping the steps, just as the doorbell rang. Down in the living room, Elowen's gossiping friends went dead silent when 2 gorgeous women suddenly showed up so late. They just stared at each other in pure confusion. Someone cursed as she realized what was happening. I screamed inside at the terrible timing those 2 stunning models my friend Kale sent had arrived. "Hey, big brother, we are here." The girls waved at me, completely ignoring the bizarre stares from the crowd. They ran right up to me. "Brother Kale sent us to entertain you." The moment they said that, everyone's faces in the living room turned into a masterpiece of shock. One girl leaned over to Elowen. "I told you, sister. Men just cannot resist temptation. Calling 2 at once? You really starved him. You and I both know they are wrong, but I was too far to hear them. I just wanted to get rid of this chaotic mess my friend had dumped on me. How much did Kale pay you guys?" "I will double it. Just leave quickly," I whispered. But from the couch angle, it looked bad. It looked way too intimate. like I had zero respect for my wife and was just enjoying the company of gorgeous girls. Big brother, let us stay. We know a lot of tricks, and we guarantee you will have a good time. One of the models gave me a playful wink, and my heart completely skipped a beat. I looked over and saw Elowen staring at me with an incredibly heavy gaze, but she kept her usual expressionless face, hiding all her emotions. It was impossible to tell what was going on in her head. I had absolutely no idea if she even cared at all. If I had not just read her secret burner account, maybe I would have played along. But now, I really wanted to see how she would react. If she just took action and showed some jealousy, showing even a small hint of anger, I would throw these girls out immediately and spend the night alone with her. But a whole minute passed, and she did nothing. She just stared at me, her brow furrowing tightly in deep thought. She was lost in her own mind, dealing with some painful, complicated feelings before finally reaching a decision. She finally stood up. Looking at me with cold eyes, she pressed her lips together and said, "Is this what you wanted to show me?" Before I could even speak, she added coldly, "Since you have guests over, make sure you show them a good time." When she said that, everyone in the room froze. Trust me, you and I need to see what happens next. You and I are jumping right into a mess. With someone asking if this crazy marriage can even be saved. The guy is literally bringing girls home to start a riot. My face twitched, and I wanted to shake some sense into her. Furious enough to explode, I forced a fake smile and told my dear wife everything was perfectly fine. I promised to entertain my guests well, thinking, let's see how long she can play tough before she snaps. Inside, the two tall girls my buddy Kale sent over were waiting by the door. A second later, they shed their outer coats and casually walked over, asking where we should begin. But honestly, my eyes were glued to Elowen next door. I was completely shocked by what was happening. Turns out, Kale's people were just as wild as he was. Control yourself. Look away. Tell them to put their clothes back on right now. Realizing there was a massive misunderstanding, I quickly explained they just needed to pose so I could look. Nothing more. But they insisted. Kale told them I wanted nude models, offering to strike any pose. I was completely speechless. So, I was the only one with a dirty mind here. They asked if, you and I are jumping right into a wild trap. I clear my throat and ask, did Kale tell you to obey me? They nod. So I suggest, can you two fake a makeout session? We need to make this sound real, right? We had been waiting for ages, but the room next door was completely silent. The girls look over at me, waiting. They notice my eyes darting toward the wall and instantly catch on. With a knowing smirk, they tell me, got it. Mission accepted. A minute later, the two models start giggling and teasing each other without holding anything back. Just like that, they crank the steamy atmosphere in the room all the way to 11. Their dramatic acting is so hilarious, I almost laugh, but watch closely. Right on cue, a sudden knock echoes at the door. Elowen is standing outside, hair dripping wet, looking like a dejected puppy. She is holding a plate of fresh-cut fruit. Without speaking a single word, her eyes slowly trace my entire body, scanning down from. Let me show you the exact moment her jealousy went completely off the charts. She was furious but too scared to speak, which I found hilarious. I teased her, asking if she wanted to come inside and play, and her calm mask almost shattered completely. Her fingers gripped the porcelain plate until her knuckles turned white. She quietly asked to borrow my bathroom again. Seriously? Again? Her hair was dripping wet, and she already smelled like she just stepped out of the shower. Did she really think I could not tell? Still, I did not refuse, and welcomed her inside. Now watch closely, because she did not just bring fruit, she also carried a mysterious little bag. Her razor-sharp eyes instantly locked onto the two exhausted women sitting on my sofa right now. Their faces were flushed, clothes messy, and they were panting heavily, while the bedsheets lay completely ruined. Her fists clenched so tight her nails probably dug in, before she finally marched into the bathroom. The instant the door closed, both models shivered and trembled, whispering that my wife looked like she was about to straight-up murder them. Standing behind, I missed her face, but we both know what comes next. All right, let us dive into this wild story where our main character raises an eyebrow and sends his models home early, wishing you a very happy night. Let us hope so. Inside, the shower water was already roaring. Let's dive into this wild situation where I'm pressing my ear to the bathroom door, hearing absolutely nothing. So I just lean against the couch and open Elowen's burner account, finding a brand new post from 10 minutes ago. She wrote, "Damn it, he called me his wife, but sneaking around makes me panic. I'm just so disappointed. I want him to always call me that, but not if he's constantly looking for other girls outside. All that laughter next door is so loud. Is it because I'm too boring, or did I give him too much freedom, letting him be blinded by wild weeds and constantly messing up? I'm literally going insane." Watch closely here, as she wonders how far they got, asking why those tramps caught his eye, when she can do it too. The post says, "I can satisfy him. It hurts too much. I'm not holding back anymore. I'm going to pamper him right now. Even if he cries, I won't stop. I must punish him severely. Reading those final words sent a cold shiver down my spine. Suddenly, a loud crash echoes inside the bathroom, and Elowen's voice slowly drifts out to me. She asks if I can hand her the towel by the door. That's when I realize she forgot it before going in. You and I both know she did this on purpose, right? So I walk over and gently knock on the door. All right, let's watch this together. A wet, slender arm reaches out, pulling the bathroom door wide. Elowen stands inside, a blast of chilly air escaping from the open bathroom. Seeing her in a revealing French-maid outfit makes my eyes pop. At home, she usually wears nothing but conservative pajamas or oversized loungewear. But this scandalous look, mixed with her misty, tearful eyes, radiates an incredibly seductive charm. Honestly, the pull is absolutely magnetic. I can't even look away for a second. I fight with everything I have to hold back the urge to tackle her, just dangling the towel in my hand. You're already dressed, so do you still need this? Nope. She suddenly grabs my hand, using it to wipe droplets off her chest. Unbelievably soft and bouncy. This is clearly Elowen's very first time doing something so bold. Her gorgeous face is flushed with deep embarrassment, but seeing no resistance, she yanks me inside. We should do husband and wife things in here so nobody watches us. That is when it clicks. Ah, the two models Kale sent. Here's the part we need to watch closely. I don't tell her they left, waiting to see her next move. The bathroom is quite spacious but chilly. Since she didn't use any warm water, her skin feels ice cold. Under my warm hand, her heart beats like crazy. She whispers that she has something to show me. I have a strong feeling she is talking about the tattoo of my name. Sure enough, she guides my hand down her lower stomach, where faint blue veins show. She whispers, "Feel it?" The intense heat beneath my palm makes my mind spin. Panicking, I blurt out that she is curvy, making her gasp. She blushes, saying the tattoo of my name is right there. I pretend to be shocked, telling her to show me. The old Elowen would have instantly refused, but right now, this request is exactly what she wants to hear. In a chaotic rush, she sheds the maid outfit. She asks if I want to try with her, but I stay silent. Getting anxious, Elowen squeezes my waist tightly, pressing her lips to mine and desperately trying to open my mouth. Our hot breaths tangle as she begs me to stop playing with others and play with her. Elowen taking the initiative like this is a total miracle. Just as the steam rises and I am still processing what is happening, she covers my mouth with her palm. A thin coat of sweat from her body completely soaks my neck and shoulders. She whispers to keep quiet because people are outside. Seriously, if you know they are out there, why go so hard? My vision gets blurry, and I finally break. I tell her it is too hot and we should move. She says no, her voice sounding totally panicked. Does she really think I'm going out to party with those models? I desperately yell that they're gone, and they were just drawing models from Kale. Inside, she seems to freeze up. Then, suddenly, she locked onto my lips. If earlier was a light drizzle, this was a Category 5 hurricane. Elowen was insanely aggressive. My fingertips scraped red marks down her back. The tiny bell on Elowen's collar jingled all night long. As birds started singing outside, my entire body was left feeling like absolute mush. My brain was full of images of her ruthlessly punishing me. Damn it, one more round and I will literally die. Just one more time, she whispered. I slept until the sun was high in the sky. Elowen was already gone, leaving my back aching and my waist feeling completely broken. Watch closely, as I am lounging lazily in bed, a sudden phone call from Kale ruins the peace. I struggled to sit up and answered. From the other end of the line, Kale let out some teasing laughs. Heard you had a great time with my models, huh? Recalling the brutal madness of last night, my scalp went numb. Rule number 1: never provoke a woman who has not fought in a while. And definitely never provoke one who secretly loves it. My silence made Kale burst into laughter, praising me for borrowing his models just to make her insanely jealous. He asked if my previous talk about getting a divorce was just a trick to play hard to get. Hearing that word, my brain snapped to attention. Right, the divorce agreement. I rushed out of bed straight to the vanity table, only to discover the papers were completely gone. My first thought was that Elowen took them, which was seriously awkward. I know what you are thinking. We were rolling in the sheets, and now she finds out I wanted a divorce? I did not dare imagine how she would react. I quickly got dressed and headed straight to Elowen's corporate office. It was my first time there, yet the receptionist recognized me instantly and personally escorted me to the CEO's office. All right, you and I are right outside her office, where he hesitates to interrupt her busy workday. But then he thinks, so what? He is her husband, after all. He knocks and boldly pushes the door open. Sitting on the couch is not just Elowen, but her entire squad of best friends. They all turn and stare right at him. Elowen's cold, calm eyes flicker. She stands up and walks right over to him. She asks why he is here. The speech he practiced on the way over completely vanishes under her gentle gaze. He totally loses his nerve. If she actually saw the divorce paper, shouldn't she be furious by now? Maybe she has not seen it yet. Her friends quickly stand up, tactfully leaving the two of them alone. Still, The way they glare at him is incredibly tense, like they are looking at a total piece of trash. Feeling totally awkward, he waits until they leave before asking if she saw anything on his vanity table this morning. Elowen just pours some tea, keeping her eyes lowered to hide the deep emotions swirling inside. She stays completely calm, asking if something is missing. He stares closely, but her face shows absolutely nothing. Did the maid throw it away? He shakes his head, changes his plans, and asks her out for lunch instead. Now pay attention here. Once they get home, they get locked inside the bedroom for some action. He used to believe she avoided touching him because she did not want to scare him, but after this, he finally understands the harsh reality. They move around the room so much that his back is practically screaming, but she shows absolutely zero signs of tiring out. She puts in even more effort than last night, showing him a deep, unspoken tenderness. Through a complete haze, he suddenly remembers the first time they ever met. Back then, his brother had just left the country, and he was forced to step up and talk to her. They laid all their cards on the table, yet she agreed to marry him that night. He just assumed she was terrified of being pushed into an arranged marriage. But if he had not found her secret social media account, he would never know she actually loved him. Elowen is perfect at everything, except she bottles up all her feelings. He wonders if he should use this chance to finally make her open up, when her quiet, breathless voice suddenly asks if he is actually happy being married to her. Honestly, he seriously thinks about it. It is actually pretty fun. He does not worry about food, his wife is gorgeous, and money is never an issue. He is completely satisfied with Elowen. Though, if she could just have a little more self-control, it would be perfect. But watch closely. That brief silence looked like hesitation to her. She gently kisses his neck and admits she is incredibly happy, having never even dreamed she could marry him. She adds that an unhappy marriage is basically a grave, and she does not want to tie him down. Then, she calls his name, dead serious. If he wants freedom, she will let him go. Hearing her say this, he immediately knows something is wrong. He spins around, demanding to know if she saw the divorce papers. Elowen just presses her lips tightly together. Sweat clings to her forehead, and he sees those familiar, hurt puppy dog eyes looking back at him. He explains he only drafted those papers because he was mad, but she softly asks why he was angry in the first place. Elowen focuses on the weirdest detail, making him feel a mix of total embarrassment and absolute rage. You still have the nerve to ask? Who is the one who refused to touch him for 6 months, no matter how many times he tried to initiate? If a woman avoids a guy, it means she hates him, right? Plus, he only married her instead of his brother. He thought she loved his brother. Shouldn't he be mad? He warns Elowen that her beauty will not stop him from leaving. There are plenty of prettier girls out there, and if he actually divorces her suddenly, his lips are violently sealed shut. Elowen pants, wrapping her arms around him in a tight embrace, whispering that it is all her fault. She begs him not to be mad. She never liked his brother. The real reason she did not touch him is, well, it is hard to explain. Seeing her look so completely helpless, his anger instantly drops by 30%. At home, she looks like an adorable puppy. He brushes away her messy hair and asks directly if she actually likes him. Surprisingly, Elowen does not look shocked at all. Instead, she just lets out a massive sigh of relief. She smiles, glad he finally figured it out. He is completely speechless, because she actually hid it incredibly well. If he had not found her secret account, they would be done. Trust me, you and I are glad he kept quiet. After clinging and kissing him, she tries to drag him straight into the bathroom once again. She admits she thought he wanted a divorce because she was bad in bed. Alright, you and I are about to dive into a wild romance, where Orion finally starts radiating a brand new energy, after living his best life. Plus, my creative inspiration for drawing comics completely exploded. I was super busy for almost a week before finally checking Elowen's secret burner account again, but there were only a few quick posts. She wrote about how happy she was that I knew her feelings, praying I would not hate her even if I did not love her back yet. She even claimed her 5 years of deep love forgave my supposed cheating, leaving me totally speechless. What crazy stories was she making up in her head? Had I not already cleared up that misunderstanding about the models? Sensing there was more to this, I shut my laptop after an hour and went upstairs, finding Elowen practicing yoga. She already had an incredible body, yet she kept working to improve it, putting my physical strength to shame. After admiring her stunning waistline and perfect physique for a while, I walked over and handed her a fresh towel. I told her she was already perfect, but she simply replied that a wife's beauty is her husband's ultimate pride. My mouth twitched. Well, I definitely hit the jackpot with her. I waited patiently outside while she took a shower. Once she was almost dressed, I finally asked if there was anything she wanted to bring up with me. She walked out drying her hair, barely looking up as she asked what I meant. Classic Elowen behavior. Even if she was dying of heartbreak inside, she would never say a single word about it to me. Honestly, if I were just a little more cold-hearted, I would have stopped trying with her altogether. Now pay attention, because Orion decides to test her by asking what she thinks of a quote about having a mistress you love and a wife who loves you. Elowen's face dropped, as she instantly snapped back, asking what I would do if she said she already found someone. Deep hurt flashed in her eyes. She whispered that she knew, but blamed the scheming people outside who had deliberately tempted me. She begged me to make it a one-time mistake, saying she could not bear losing me. She held me tight in panic, yet she was strangely forgiving. It was so ridiculous I laughed and pushed her back. I asked her who this mystery person was, and when she said she did not know, I asked how she was so sure. Elowen stared blankly at my neck, pointing right at the dark hickey she had actually left there herself days ago. Biting her lip, she reminded me of the night I stayed out, claiming I came back with marks on my neck. She said my voice was hoarse and I had a fever, which sealed it. I tried to remember that night at my friend's place. Honestly, you and I can see why she was suspicious. I explained everything to ease her mind once and for all. It was all a giant misunderstanding. I would never betray our marriage like that. I pointed out how fierce and vocal she usually is when dealing with business negotiations. So, why stay completely silent with me and suffer? Your mouth is for speaking. If you are not using it, donate it to someone else. Seeing my frustration, she immediately apologized and took the blame, which just made me want to give up. Annoyed, I pulled her close, asking why she always takes the blame, and demanding to know what else she was hiding. She stammered, admitting she actually stole some of my clothes and did some pretty shameless things with them. When I pressed further, she admitted she arranged for my brother to go abroad. I was completely stunned. I remembered my sweet, academic brother crying his eyes out, claiming he had to leave the country no matter what. He insisted on moving to Europe with his artist girlfriend, to live a life with no regrets. I had always wondered why they had to flee all the way overseas instead of just settling down quietly nearby, especially since our family disapproved of them. Elowen quickly explained she was only playing matchmaker, helping him chase his real dream of true happiness. She admitted she gave them $10 million. While it was a business deal for them, to her, it was purely a setup. Knowing how bad it sounded, she whispered guiltily that she knew she was completely in the wrong. She confessed that keeping her distance for so long was not just about being afraid of scaring me. She was actually terrified that if I found out she engineered our marriage and took my virginity, I would deeply regret marrying her. She even planned to hand over most of her wealth to me if we ended up getting divorced. She wanted to make sure I would not lose out, begging me not to hate her since arranged marriages are normal for high society families like ours. Honestly, ever since we tied the knot, I had never felt even a tiny bit of regret. I actually felt incredibly lucky because her stunning looks easily left every other woman far behind. And that is where we leave them, with a warm heart and the realization that I could never hate her. On the contrary, being with you for so long has let me discover so many different sides of you. I do not know the exact definition of love, but being with you makes me happy. Elowen had high material standards, but in love, she was incredibly easy to satisfy. She softly whispered, repeating my words, that my happiness was enough. I laughed through misty eyes and kissed her lips. That night was calm, just sitting together on the sofa in our home theater, cuddling and watching a movie. Since when did you like me? Or more accurately, when did your secret crush on me even start? Since your college graduation, she said. You held my hand once, and I was shocked. Just like that? Yeah, just like that. I burst into laughter, wrapping my arm around her waist. You are totally down bad for me. Elowen leaned in to seal my lips, not denying it at all. That is right. And trust me, she is down bad, but only for him.